What's up, guys? Welcome to another EliteSelf client testimonial video. This is actually the first of its kind. We got Aldo back for round two here. This is the first testimonial video where we've had a guy on twice. Aldo's been in our program for, I think it's over 2.5 years now, maybe almost 3 years. He just graduated a level 3 program, now in our level 4 program, and he's definitely come a long ways with his own self-development. He's transformed mentally, physically, emotionally, habitually, and he's the most consistent guy in our program, just absolutely crushing week after week. So, Aldo, thanks for hopping on, man. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Cool. So, assuming the people have not watched the first video, or maybe they have, whether they have or haven't, give us a little rundown on kind of who you are, what's going on in your life, and a bit about yourself.
Um, all good questions to ask, though, to be honest. So, I should I start where I started, or how do you want me to?
Just like general current life situation. What do you
Yeah,
do for work, hobbies, etc.?
cool. So I work for as a financial analyst. Been with my company for about 6 years now. Been doing the analyst side of the career for about 3 years. Currently applying for different positions in my company just to kind of see what other opportunities are there. Waiting to hear back from one, and hopefully that goes well. As for my hobbies, kind of goes all over the place. Love seeing movies, love reading, love swimming. Definitely love going to the gym. I definitely like to cook, even though I'm probably not the greatest cook of all at all. But yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Sweet. Cool, man. And yeah, man, it's been a few years since you've been in the program now. Take us back to Aldo in, I think it was like early 2022. Where was he at? What was his mindset like? What were his goals? Tell us a bit about that version of yourself.
So that version of myself is definitely a lot different from my current version. Um, Prior to joining the program, I was definitely more of the kind of like depressed, definitely overweight. I think I was kind of close to 220 pounds, currently out so 193 if some change. Um, Definitely didn't have that much ambition. Definitely, spent nights doom scrolling. So it's definitely a totally different version of the man that you see now. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree, man. And you came into the program, your primary goal was weight loss. Let's just touch on the physical side of things first. We went on a cut and now we're on a lead bulk. From your perspective, like what are your main kind of wins and progress that you're proud of on the physical side?
I mean, definitely on the physical side, I think the easiest to call out would be losing that weight. There was a time where I was at 34 waist in pants. I dropped out all the way to 30 waist, which is awesome. It's something that you don't usually see. It was funny because there was a while there where I didn't want to let go of those pants because it was like I don't know if I can maintain this. But sure enough, I mean, I was able to kind of keep pushing and keep maintaining my weight and still wear that 30 waist pants. I could probably go maybe an inch lower to be honest. But hey, that's not a problem that I'm going to be crying about for sure. Uh, but I mean, you kind of see it visually as well. Like, like obviously you're going to be a lot different when you kind of drop down all that weight. There were times where I was like, I didn't even recognize myself in the mirror because I was like, who is this guy? I don't recognize him at all. Like this looks completely different from my mind's eye. And it definitely took me a while to kind of get adjusted to that weight, or to that, that new visualization of myself. The biggest thing though too, I have some chronic knee issues, and losing that weight substantially improved and made my knee a lot stable than it has been in quite some time. I'm still going to be prone to that, but like it's less frequent than it's ever been.
Amazing, man. That's awesome. And you mentioned somewhere along the way you got more confident that you could in fact maintain this lifestyle and that progress. I'm genuinely curious at what point. I'm assuming that was kind of like a blurry line, not necessarily like a day, but like how when did that happen? And at kind of at what stage in your journey did you really be like, yeah, okay, like I can maintain this progress and I'm not really going to reverse or regress.
Yeah, I would say it was probably a year ago, give or take. It was just kind of like it got to the point where like I could not wear my pants at all. Like my belt would not save me. Like it was literally to the point where like I could easily be depants or it can easily just fall off. So I had to kind of make that choice. It was like, okay, like hey, like this is it. Like you've been doing this for about a year and a half now. You lost all this weight. Yeah, granted, not at the ideal weight, but like we've been doing this for a while. You've been consistent about it. Um, so it was just kind of that time to say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna make that commitment. I'm gonna keep pushing myself to hold or even lose that weight, uh, and kind of go from there.
Got it, man. That's awesome. I'm curious, how have like other people around you kind of reacted to your development on the physical side or other aspects, whether it's family, friends, coworkers, etc.?
I think the biggest shock to everybody was like they were kind of surprised that I lost so much weight. Um, no, especially at the gym, people would just like reach out to me and like, hey, like I've seen you at the gym for like a year plus. I mean, I see that you're consistently here. I mean, you looked a lot different from when I first saw you. Like, what's your secret? What's going on? It's kind of good to kind of get that positive feedback of like people recognizing that hey, like I'm a totally different person from where I was then. My family, especially my parents, were just on the more of the surprise shock side of like are you healthy, are you doing okay, and it's just like yeah, just making a couple life decisions or life choices where I want to be healthier than where I was previously.
Got it, man. That makes sense. And yeah, you've like I said at the start, you've been literally the most consistent guy in the program. That's not easy to do, man, because it's not like we just are giving you one thing per day either. It's like it started off with fitness. Now you've really kind of stepped it up and are addressing different areas of self-development and kind of like really implementing some high-level routines across the board. And you're super consistent with it, again, which is not easy for anybody. And so I'm curious, man, did you have to was that just a result of making a decision saying like, look, if I'm going to do this, I'm just going to go all out? Or how did did you already have the consistency muscle within you before the program and now this was just something that's worthwhile to apply it to? Or did you find yourself having to build it after joining? What was that like for you?
I definitely had to build it after joining. The great thing about my past is that I've had experience with working out, so like I knew fundamentally like the concept of how to do certain exercises. It was really more the consistency that I kind of struggled with the most. But I kind of sat there and was like, hey, like the reason why I joined this program is because I want to fundamentally change, and if I'm not going to commit, then what's the point? So I kind of just embraced that notion is like, what, I'm just going to go all in because the only person that I'm really competing against is myself.
Facts. Yeah, well said, man. That's awesome. And like I mentioned at the start, you've developed in definitely more than just the physical side. The physical side is very much so like a fundamental element of self-development, but it's not the whole thing. And you've definitely leveled up in more ways than one. And so I'm curious, man, on like the mindset side or mentality side, belief side, or just like the software that you're operating with side, how are you like thinking and acting differently versus 2.5 years ago?
I would definitely say that I'm definitely feeling more or thinking more confidently. It's something that you and I have kind of talked about before in the past, of just kind of creating your alter ego of who that person would, who that ideal person would be, how that person reacts to certain things, how they approach, life in certain ways. So just really kind of envisioning that alter ego and just kind of stepping into that version of myself and just like, hey, like this is who I want to be. I hate to use the word fake it till you make it, but like there's a lot of truth to that where you need to act that way because sooner or later you are going to eventually become that alter ego.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely, man. And what are like kind of like the top like 1 to 2 areas of life that question has served you the most in, or 1 to 2 examples?
I think the most recent example would be interviewing for different positions. I've applied to a couple of positions where I don't have any experience whatsoever, but being able to kind of step into that alter ego, like, hey, like I got this. Granted, I didn't get that position in the end, but I made it to the very final interview. And the fact that they chose somebody that actually had 2 years experience versus my no experience is huge because I gave that person a run for his money.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's just kind of like a good example of believing in yourself, being able to push yourself and like, hey, like, why not apply for this position? Why not try? Because the worst thing that they can do is say no. And, yes, granted, I didn't get that position, but I definitely was definitely able to see what kind of value that I can offer to myself and to any other team that I decide to apply to or interview with.
Right.
And if you wanted another example, I mean, I think the other example is just kind of thinking of my interactions with other people, other friends, and just being able to like be confident about myself, just being able to like, hey, like this is what I think I should do. Because I think in the past I've always kind of been hesitant to voice my opinion, to hesitate to address my concern. But now I'm just kind of like, hey, like no, like this doesn't make sense for me to be uncomfortable. I should be, addressing those concerns. I should be asking, questions. I should be, presenting myself uh, as somebody who like cares about what's going to happen. And I think that had definitely helped strengthen my confidence and definitely improved my standing. Because again, like this is my life. I want to make sure that I get the most out of it.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's awesome. What would you say is the biggest challenge that you've overcome in your self-development journey over the last 2.5 years?
I think the biggest challenge is easily just being consistent. And I knew going into this program that consistency was always going to be something that was going to be difficult for me. So like it took me a while. It wasn't like day one where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do all these things. It was like, it took me a while to kind of build, maybe not necessarily the confidence, but just kind of being able to build that habits because it was something different, it was something new, and just being able to kind of like talk to my coaches at that time and be like, hey, like, what are your thoughts on this? And just being able to get that feedback, being able to kind of, talk my way into it. I was kind of like able to kind of push myself to where I can be consistent in that habit.
Right. Totally get it, man. Consistency is definitely a big one to overcome, and you definitely overcame that for sure. So now you're moving on to the level 4 program, and the levels, by the way, pertain to each person's individual journey. There's not necessarily a change in scope of practice, but just a level up on the self-development side. And so, what are your next level goals for yourself, man, over the next year? Whether it's fitness, self-development, what are the most important things to you?
I think everything's still kind of on the table at this point in time. I mean, I definitely like, yes, I'm currently on a book right now, but there's this specific physique goal that I kind of want to hit. I would definitely love to get back down into the 180s, just kind of see what that's going to look like. So I'm definitely going to be working on accomplishing that. But with other areas of life, I mean, everything's kind of fair game. One of the things that I definitely want to do is kind of, put myself out there and just have the confidence of being able to, whether it be on the dating scene or whether it just be like, having more social interactions with, new people, new friends. That's going to be stuff that I'm going to be kind of be working on. Other goals, I mean, I'm still going to be applying for different positions. I'm still hoping that one position that I'm kind of waiting for a response is going to turn into yes. But even if they decline, I mean, again, I made it to another final interview, and it kind of just shows like, hey, I do have something to offer, so I'm going to keep pushing myself in that arena, whether it be acquiring new skills, whether it be just be applying for different positions. Um, the world is my oyster type of thing.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Love that. A couple more for you here, man. If you were to talk with Aldo in 2022, early 2022, maybe the version of yourself that didn't even know he needed help yet, or that was kind of like wondering what to do, but was kind of in that spot, what would you tell that version of yourself?
I would definitely tell that version of myself is that nobody's going to come save me.
Mm.
Nobody's going to help, and I think looking at my version of that, my past version, I definitely was looking for somebody to like tell me what to do, to show me what to do, to like drag me out of bed and be like, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna go to the gym and do all this other stuff. And I was definitely that person who was like, hey, I just need somebody to, push me and inspire me. But at the end of the day, like they can only do so much, right? Like this is going to be on me to become the version of myself that I want to be. So I would tell myself like, hey, you got this. I know it doesn't seem like it now, but like you can only take it one step at a time. But those steps do add up, and it's going to lead to something monumental. So keep pushing, keep going. But the biggest thing is start.
Mm, love that, man. That's awesome. Last question, man. Why is all this important to you? Like, why deploy the discipline? Why implement these routines? Why delay gratification? Why sacrifice? Why put in all the work? Why develop into your lead self? Why are you doing this for?
I mean, the reason why I started this journey is because I wasn't happy with that version of myself. I was very, depressed. I was very antisocial. I was very, um, you know, sad. I didn't have any confidence in my abilities, and I didn't feel like that was, the true version of myself. So the reason why this journey is so important to me is because I know that I can do so much more, and this program has definitely allowed me to tap into that potential. I still have a ways to go. I mean, this isn't going to be like, hey, like I'm just going to do this program and I'm going to buy EliteSelf. No, like your EliteSelf is going to continue to, change day in day out. It's going to change. If now there's always going to be more potential that you can tap into. So again, the reason why this is important to me is because I know that I can be so much more, and I am determined to make that into reality.
Hell yeah, man. Love that. Cool. Although I appreciate you sharing your story, man, and your ups and downs along the way. If you're watching this and you relate to all those story, or you need to take your own self-development to the next level, there will be a calendar link where you can book a application call below to speak with me, and we'll see if you're a good fit. But besides that, although thanks again for hopping on, man. I appreciate you.
No problem.